Hello, welcome to Big Conversations with T. Um, the first segment of our show is parenting an autistic child, and this is the first time we're doing. Gotta reduce this. This is the first time we're having big conversations, and what we're doing is back-to-back conversations on issues that matter to not just me but to everyone in our community. Autism or Autism spectrum disorder, ASD, refers to a broad range of conditions characterized by challenges with social skills, repetitive behavior, speech, and nonverbal communication. According to Centers for Disease Control, autism affects an estimated 1 in 44 children in the United States today. And as you would know, April is World Autism Awareness Month. We know that there's not one autism but many subtypes, most influenced by a combination of genetic and environmental factors. Because autism is a spectrum disorder, each person with autism has a distinct set of strengths and challenges. The ways in which people with autism learn, think, and problem solve can range from highly skilled to severely challenged. And some people with autism may require significant support in their daily lives, while others may need less support and, in some cases, live entirely independently. Liyu Makonnen, you are the author of My Voice, My Life, My Story, and this sort of documents the beautiful story as you raise your autistic son. Welcome to Big
Yes.
Conversations tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, C. Thank you for having me. This means a lot to me. Yeah, it's good to
It's
be here.
really, I want, thank you, Leah. I want to come into your world because I don't know, and as it's an awareness, I want us to tell us. Let's start with, why did you write this story? Why was it important for the world to hear what your life is being a parent to an autistic child?
Yeah, with autism, it's a different world. It's when your child is not growing typically, and you realize, oh no, there's something wrong, and you go through the process of going through the doctors, getting the diagnosis, and you start living the life, and you realize that it's a different world, and not many people understand that. Even as a parent, you're navigating through it, and you're learning everything as you're doing it, and seeing my son, I always wondered what would he have said if he were able to talk. What would he have said about each and every experience that he has? And as a mother, because instinctively you know how they're feeling. You can read their language, right? Even though they're not talking. And seeing that, I could see that not many people understand, how their world is and what they experience, and every time we interact with them, how they feel. So I wanted to bring that out. I wanted that to be a conversation. And the reason why I decided to do a children's book is because because adults read to their kids. It's going to be a good opportunity for both adults and children to begin to understand the world of autism. And it's a good conversation starter. It's a good opportunity for kids to learn, because as I've worked in school settings, and I've seen how people, like, even yeah, young kids don't understand why their classmate is acting a certain way, why they're having a tantrum, why they're not talking to them, why they're not socializing with them. And I feel like this is a good opportunity for kids to even have the conversation. And even in school settings where teachers can read this to their students, and they can initiate a conversation. And as adults, teachers can also learn, oh, maybe I'm not seeing this child as they need to be seen. So I thought it was a good conversation starter. That's why I wanted to bring that out. Yeah.
Mm. So, did you know when you were pregnant that your son was going to be autistic, or was after he was born that you started to notice that some things
Yeah.
were different?
No, it was after he was born. He was actually a very bright boy. He would interact with us. He would respond to his name, until like 18 months. 2 years. We were confused because he stopped responding to his name, and then he wanted to be all he's by himself, like behind the door, under the mattress, trying to hide, not wanting to be with us, not seeing us eye to eye. And at first I thought it was a hearing problem, because he was not responding. It's as if he wouldn't hear us. But when the TV is on and he's in his room and he hears something, he comes running to see what it is. So I knew it wasn't a hearing problem. So it was after he was born, that he got diagnosed with autism. It wasn't when I was pregnant. Yeah.
So when we look at the sort of support that has been available for you, how have you coped with having an autistic child? Because they're extraordinarily different and
Yeah.
special in their own ways.
Yeah. Well, as an African immigrant, I would like to give a perspective of both African context and Canadian context. So, when my son was diagnosed, we were still living in Ethiopia. And when the doctor told me his diagnosis, he helped me focus on the solution. It's that tendency, right? In Africa, doctors don't necessarily break down every little detail of the bad news. They just give you a general picture, right? So that helped me a lot, and he helped me focus. Let's focus on this because we see that he's in the spectrum, but you can do this, you can do this. So I was focused on that. So, well, another challenge we have is, though the diagnosis came, in a much better way, there aren't a lot of supports in Ethiopia around autism. So I had to look for people. I had to go stretch myself to get speech and other services. But we eventually came to Canada, and of course my thought was, of course we're going to be in Canada, the service is going to be great and everything. But we had to get a diagnosis again, and then navigating through the school system, navigating through getting the service. Like, it was really challenging, even though we are in Canada, where even Alberta is much better than many other provinces in this regard. But still, I had to work hard. And lucky for me, I had a lot of moms that I knew, like who already went through the system, so I had that support. But overall, even though the systems are there, sometimes the people who are in the system may not be as compassionate, as understanding as they need to be. So sometimes, when I remember when the doctor gave us the diagnosis again, it was as if she was so gloomy, like it was the worst news on earth. And she was telling us, your son probably will not be able to do this, will not be able to do this. So we're like, what is he going to be able to do? So it takes away your hope, when you hear the diagnosis sometimes. But thank God, with the services that are available at a government level, you know I was able to get specialized services for 3 years, which means, like, people would come to my house, help me, with speech, to teach him speech, to teach him self-help skills, to help manage his behavior. So I really benefited from that. And then I also taught myself, I was curious. So whenever people came to my house, I would sit with them. I would just let them work on my son. I would sit with them and learn everything that they were doing, so that I would do it every day, right? So that was really helpful. There is support from the government, and I'm also part of a big support group now, that has been really phenomenal, because we exchange a lot of information, we exchange a lot of ideas, we exchange a lot of our experiences, and that has been really, really helpful to navigate through autism. So, in a nutshell, this is what I've had as a support.
Mm. I'm a mom and you're a mom, but the kind of mother you are is nearly same as me, but a bit more intense for you because you're dealing with an extraordinary child. So what can your son do? What's your son's name, by the way?
His name is Robbie. His full
Okay.
name is Robel, which means Ruben. And he's 13 now. I can't believe he's a 13-year-old. Like, he's very tall. He's hit puberty early, so we're also dealing with that. And he's nonverbal. In terms
Doesn't
of
speak at all.
like, yeah. What was that? Sorry.
He doesn't speak at all.
He doesn't. He only
Non-verbal.
uses his device to talk to us. So whenever he needs something, he has an iPad, and he would touch, icons on the iPad, and he would talk to us on the iPad. Um, And then in terms of cognitive abilities, is not academic at all. He hates it. Basically, he hasn't learned much, but he knows facts like names of animals and colors and stuff. He knows those kind of things. But he loves cooking. He loves to cook with me. So every time I'm cooking, he's my sous chef. He's always with me, cooking with me. He loves nature walks. So we do a lot of long, especially during the summertime. We do a lot of long nature walks. He's so into nature. So yeah, these are basically what he can do. He understands him. When we give him basic directions, and he's learning every day more and more. Yeah, that's where he's at basically.
You're right that he loves exploring. Talk
Oh
to us
yeah.
about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is an innate thing that we have in our like nature as human beings, but I think it's more expressed because they're not so socially defined. Autistic kids, they're very natural, they're very organic, so they're always up to like their feelings. Like, so he loves touching things, like spinning them, looking them here and there around, feeling their textures. He's not afraid of textures. He's one of those kids you'd call hyposensitive, which means they don't sense things that easily. So he wants to touch things. So he would touch the tree, he would touch the stick, he would touch anything around him just to explore anything new. So he wants to understand what it is, and he doesn't understand, complicated concepts, but he learns as he touches things, as he's experiencing it, as he's doing it. So like for example, if we talk about cooking, he learned the steps of cooking by doing it with me. Every time he observes me, he's watching, he's smelling, he's touching it, he's even touching the food as it's cooking. Of course, we try to make it as safe as possible because we don't want him to burn, but he's always into exploration. So anytime we take him to a new place, that's why he loves those nature walks, because he gets to see a lot of things as he goes for a walk. He gets to see cars going around, animals, trees, whatnot, the sky. There's a lot to see. There's a lot of color. It's so beautiful for him. So anytime he sees snow, he would touch it. He would grab anything. So that's how he learns. That's basically his learning tool. So exploration is something that he does with passion, basically.
Mm.
Yeah.
So at his school, so he goes to a specialized school, I understand.
Yes.
What is his world like? How have you been able to protect him from children who stare, children who might be intimidated by him, or who just don't
I mean,
understand him?
yeah. When we got in the community, the first thing I do is anytime people are curious, I tell them right away because I want them to know. I feel like that's also my opportunity to teach, right? So I tell them, sorry if my son is bothering you, he's in the autism spectrum. Sometimes because he could be on people's spaces, right? So I just let them know ahead of time. In terms of kids, I mean, yeah, sometimes kids are intimidated when, for example, when we go to the park. Some kids are compassionate. They try to interact with him. They're curious. Why doesn't he talk? Why is he doing these things? Why is he flapping his hand? They're curious and they're willing to learn. Other kids are really intimidated and they run away. It's their choice, honestly speaking. And he's not affected because socially he doesn't mind. He doesn't know those cues, so he doesn't mind it. He doesn't feel offended. Um, Actually sometimes it's his brother or us who get offended when kids are kind of. There was I think a day when my other son's school kids were making fun of him. My son doesn't Robbie doesn't understand because he doesn't know the social cues, right, like us. So but in terms of school, what I like about the specialized services in the school, or the special classes, is their needs are accommodated. So like they have sensory breaks, like if he's fidgeting, if he's not settled, they would give him opportunities to jump on the trampoline or do a static bike, whatever and then, or they give him a fidget. And the class is not as structured as regular classes, so they have opportunities to cook, to plant trees, to do a lot of fun things and do a lot of sensory things which accommodates their needs. And at the same time they teach them concepts. They teach them like numbers and whatever they need to learn, whatever they can capture, they teach them as they're doing all these things. But it's not as intense and as structured as a regular class. That's why what I like about it. But in terms of other kids bullying him, so far we haven't had many instances where he was bullied. Yeah.
Okay, I
But
want you to. Sorry.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go
So,
ahead. No,
no,
it's
go
okay.
on.
No, I've said it. Like when we got in the community, I'm always his voice, and I make sure that people understand where he's coming from when he's making noises or where he's in their spaces. You know. Yeah.
Mm. So your Robbie has been a blessing to you in so many ways, and it's gotten you maybe out of your comfort zone more to advocate for him, to advocate for you, to be his defender. And I'm just wondering if you were reflecting right now, how would you itemize the the things he's brought to your life? You know, the
Mm.
blessings you might not otherwise have been open to without him. Because every child comes with a set of angels and blessings.
Oh, I agree with you very much. For me, the most important thing is I don't think I would have had the relationship that I have with God right now if it wasn't for Robbie,
Mm,
because I had to rely on God for many things to be sent to continue to do what I needed to do. I really needed to rely on God because sometimes your world doesn't make sense, and you look at other people and they're living life, and your world doesn't make sense. The only way it would make sense is if you're with God. So I feel like my relationship with God wouldn't have been the same. Um, it has made me more compassionate. It has made me realize potentials that I have. It has made me an advocate in my community for other kids too. It has made me a better person in terms of giving for others because I know what they're going through. So trying to be there for others is much easier when you know what other people are going through. So I feel like I've learned a lot about child development. If it weren't for Robbie, I wouldn't have read all these things about child development. Now I know a lot. Even my career has shifted because of him. I was doing more of public health related work when I was back home, but here I focused on, learning more about these things. And that's how I ended up working in schools, as an EA, as a multicultural animator. And it was because of him. And I feel like our family is tighter, more blessed, more humility is added in our lives. You become more humble because of this experience. So, as a family, I think we're brought together because of Robbie. Yeah, I
mm.
mean, I could go on, I could go on the whole day, but yeah, these are the main ones. I think. Yeah.
And I really appreciate how vulnerable when you say you show more empathy, is directed your career path, you're more humble, and you rely on God more. Because I've got a question here, like how do you get comfort through prayer? This is such a big thing, and I know from my own Christian background that there's some life situations you're not equipped to go through alone. That there's a place for God, there's a place for belief, there's a place for prayer. And I wanted to say thank you for sharing that. I think Robbie has come into your life, our lives, as an angel, as a miracle. And I'm just wondering,
Yes.
as his mom, what do you think he may be trying to tell the world? What do you think his story is? If he could say anything right now, what would he be trying to communicate with us?
I think "Let me be me" is the main thing that he would say because that's what he does. Like when we are trying to condition him to do certain things, he'd be really frustrated and he would express it in his own way. And it's like I can understand. Please, mom, let me be me. Let me cook the way I want to cook. Let me run around the
Mm,
way I want to run around. Let me do things the way I want to do things. So that's what I hear from him every time he's reacting to some of the things that I do with him. So I think he's telling us, please let me be me. I'm okay being me, you know. And it's okay to be me. And sometimes please join my world. Come walking with me, come explore with me, come build with me, come cook with me. He's happy. He's happy to be with people, and he knows people when they're genuine with him. Like when we go to church and the people are genuine with him, he goes to them and says hi to them. When we go into the community, when in the school. So I think he's telling us, please let me be me, and when you can, join my world. Yeah.
mm, mm. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, as your community, what can we do to help? I know first and foremost, buy your book.
That would
Uh,
be lovely. Yes. Really,
well,
because I think you everybody will learn a lot from it. Yeah. I
okay.
hope.
We'll come back to your book in a minute. I just wanted to ask, how can we support you? Um, how do we reach out to you? And well, you already have your own community. You said you have a group of mothers, maybe with autistic children, and you have a network. But even at church, how what sort of language or vocabulary would you want people to use in? I don't know if that's even a fair question or a compassionate way
Um,
to reason right now.
yeah. No, I know what you're asking, T. I understand what you mean. For me, and it could be anyone. Honestly speaking, it doesn't have to be only kids in the spectrum. When you see someone different from you,
Mm,
please take time to know them. Just take a break, because
mm,
it's easier to judge and like, why are they wearing that? Why are
mm,
they acting this way? It's easy. It's very easy. And anywhere, in any context, particularly when
mm,
you see a child having a tantrum in the store, please be compassionate. Take time. Not Don't judge that parent. Say, okay, maybe you if you can help, you can help. Ask if you can help. If they don't need your help, then respect that, because they have their own way of dealing with it, right? When even a church, it could be on in the mosque, anywhere in a community setting where you see kids acting like this or acting different, just take your time, deep breath, and say, what could possibly be wrong with this child? What could possibly be wrong with this person? Because you just never, never, never know what that person is going through, what that child is going through. And there is always an explanation behind a behavior. There's always an explanation behind a challenge. So taking the time to do that really helps. And then, as I said, offering help when you can. If they need, like, for example, if it's in the store and they're struggling between the child and the stuff that they're doing, just ask them, how can I help? Offering that help really helps. But stop judging, be compassionate is the main message that I have for people. Take your time to
mm,
know that
mm.
person, that child.
And this is something most of us don't spend enough time doing. And I know when I first met you, you reminded me of a friend I had in England,
Yeah.
Mrs. Sakande.
Yeah.
And I did a double take. I said it cannot be Mrs. Sakande right here. You guys look alike.
Yeah.
And to now find out that you wrote this very beautiful book, and this is us talking. And I know we don't, most of us just live these crazily busy lives, and we
Yeah.
don't often take time to understand our struggles. um so how can we, knowing about autism, where can we find your book? How can we buy your book? What should we be
Okay.
doing to support autism in our community generally, or parents with autism right now?
My book is available on Indigo and Chapters online and Amazon.ca online. So it's a print on demand kind of sales. This is my first time ever doing it, so that was the better route that I needed to take. So it's print, like, so you can only find it online. With the good thing with Indigo and Chapters is if you order it online, they can deliver it to a store that is near you, so you don't have to pay a delivery fee. So you can pick it up at any store close to you. Um, and in terms of supporting families, I think initiating the conversation in your community is the most important thing. Initiating that conversation would make people feel comfortable, because unfortunately, there are a lot of African kids that are being diagnosed in the spectrum. Me working in the school setting has taught me that, you see it's visible, but parents are hiding because it's a taboo to talk about mental health. It's a taboo to talk about this kind of challenges in our community. So initiating the discussion at your community level, it could be a church, it could be any community gathering. talk about it, initiate it, and you'll see parents coming forward. They'll feel more comfortable. They'll feel more understood that, okay, someone understands maybe what I'm going through, and helping them come together. When parents who are going through the same thing come together, they can help each other in an amazing way, because there's something one parent doesn't know, another one knows, and they support each other. That's what happened in our support group. And then invite us. Honestly, if you have any gathering, at church or any gathering that you have, invite one of us. We'll come and share our experiences. We'll teach whatever we know, because we learned it as living it, right? So I think the best thing to do is initiating the conversation around autism,
Mm.
as you're doing now with this radio, honestly.
Thank you, Lee. We're running out of time. Where can people go to find help? And you briefly mentioned that taboo. And I know in maybe some African cultures, what they'd rather do is to send the kid to church for prayers and all that kind of stuff. But realistically, autism, I don't know if prayers can take it away. I'm just wondering where can people go to
Well,
find
I mean,
support.
yeah, I like, definitely relying on prayer has helped me, has helped our family. But one of the things that I learned through my prayer is to do my share. So I have a share in healing my son, and God has his role, his biggest role, but I have a share as a parent. So we there is a government agency called FACD, that's Family Support for Disability in Edmonton. So that's the first step. And then, if they don't have a diagnosis, go to their doctors, get a diagnosis. It takes time to get diagnosis, so contact FSCD. FSCD is who gives you the therapeutic services. So they're the one who facilitate that. They cover a lot of services, like people would come and teach you how to teach your child to talk, self-help and stuff. And another thing is they would pay for someone who does babysit for you. It's called respite work. So people would come and play with your child, and then government covers that cost. There is an allotted hour per year that they give for a family, so you can use that. So FACD is the main agency, and then going to your doctor. Go to your doctor, talk to them, and it would be, yeah,
Hmm. Thank you, Lee. We've come to the end. It's just occurred to me I could have put all these little snippets, so
yeah,
anyone just tuning in can follow what we've been talking about. Parenting Robbie, our Robbie, with Liu. Okay. You've written
yeah.
this amazing book, which we're urging people to go and buy. My Voice, My Life, My Story, and we're meeting Robbie here as a mighty explorer. It's an amazing sense of curiosity. And this book is also World Book Day, actually, today.
Oh, it is, yeah.
It
Happy
is
World
World,
Book Day. I,
and
yeah.
the final question would be, what book would you recommend for people to go buy or read?
We do have a lot of books around autism. Of course, this is number one for me, of course, yeah. But yes, there are a lot of books that helped me. Oh, I wasn't prepared for this, but maybe one thing, I forgot the title. Oh, More Than Words. More Than Words is a book that has helped a lot of families, understanding their child in the spectrum and learning what to do. So, More Than Words is one of the best self-help books for parents.
Okay.
It's called
I'm
More Than
afraid
Words.
more than words. Thank you so much, Liu
Yes.
Makonnen. I
My pleasure, T.
My
Thank you
my
so much for
heart
having
is
me.
with you from a mother to another mother,
Thanks.
and I've learned a lot, and I'm sure our listeners will be encouraged at your courage, at your faith, at the brilliant work you're doing with Robbie right now. So we'll let you go now. Big
Thank you so
conversations,
much.
big
Yeah.
conversations carries on right after this. So thank you so much for joining
Thank you.
us.
Thank you, T. Okay. Bye. Have a good night.